To Ko-won, the orange tree next door wasn't just a plant. It was a sacred monument to flavor. Its branches hung heavy over the low stone wall, separating their properties, practically begging to be raided. Every afternoon, the air would fill with a crisp, citrusy perfume that made Ko-won's mouth water. He spent his childhood plotting elaborate, albeit clumsy, heist missions to snatch the low-hanging fruit, convinced that the universe had placed the tree there specifically for his enjoyment. There was only one obstacle to Ko-won's absolute happiness: the boy who actually owned the tree. He possessed a cool, effortless demeanor, and, infuriatingly, the exact same name. Because the neighborhood couldn't handle the confusion of two Kos, the titles were distributed by order of birth. Thus, the thief became Ko-1, and the rightful owner became Ko-2. The naming convention was the only fair thing about their dynamic. Ko-1 was a whirlwind of energy-scuffed knees, loud laughter, and a permanent sticky residue on his fingers from smuggled citrus. Ko-2, on the other hand, was the picture of serene composure. He was diligent, quiet, and possessed a patient gaze that always seemed to catch Ko-won mid-crime. It felt to Ko-won as though some celestial being had intentionally crafted Ko-2 as a calm, unbothered warden to punish a mischievous little orange demon. Their childhood was a rhythmic dance of stealth and capture. Ko-won would scale the stone wall, his eyes locked on a particularly radiant, sun-warmed orange. Just as his fingers would wrap around the stems, a calm voice would cut through the leaves. "You know those aren't yours." Ko-won. Ko-won would drop to the ground, startled, only to find Ko-2 sitting on the porch with a book, looking thoroughly amused. Despite the teasing, Ko-2 never actually stopped him. If anything, as the years began to bleed into one another, the theft became a shared ritual. Ko-2 would intentionally leave a wooden crate near the wall, making it easier for Ko-1 to climb over. In return, Ko-1 would always leave half of his bounty on the top of the wall, peeled with varying degrees of neatness, as a silent peace offering. As they transitioned from boys into teenagers, the physical landscape between them began to shift. They both grew taller, their voices dropping into deeper registers, but the distance across the stone wall seemed to shrink. Ko-won found himself spending less time looking at the oranges and more time looking at the boy who grew them. Ko-2's effortless cool hadn't faded. It had simply matured into a quiet, magnetic confidence. The realization hit Ko-won on a sweltering July afternoon. He had successfully plucked a massive, perfectly ripe orange without getting caught, or so he thought. When he turned around, Ko-2 was standing right behind him, the dappled sunlight filtering through the leaves and illuminating the sharp angles of his jaw and the soft, familiar warmth in his eyes. Ko-won's heart did a sudden, violent flip that had absolutely nothing to do with the adrenaline of stealing. "You're getting better at being quiet," Ko-2 remarked, stepping closer. The proximity was dizzying. Ko-1, usually a chatterbox, found his throat completely dry. He stared down at the orange in his hands, suddenly hyper-aware of how close their fingers were. Instead of scrambling back over the wall, Ko-1 stayed. He carefully split the orange in two, the sweet mist spraying into the air between them, and handed the larger half to Ko-2. "Consider it a tax for entering your territory," Ko-1 mumbled, his cheeks flushing a shade that rivaled the fruit. Co-2 took it, his fingers brushing against Co-1's, sending a strange electric jolt straight to Co-1's core. From that day on, the nature of their meetings evolved. The stone wall was no longer a barrier to be breached, but a meeting place where they sat side by side, legs dangling over the edge. They talked about everything and nothing, school, the future, and the shifting tide of their shared neighborhood. Co-1 noticed how Co-2 always listened with his whole legal existence, leaning in just a fraction closer whenever Co-1 got passionate about a topic. The quiet feelings that had been dormant in their hearts for years began to bloom as fiercely as the white blossoms on the orange tree each spring. Co-1 realized that his obsession with the neighbor's yard had never truly been about the fruit. The oranges were just the sweetest excuse he had to be near the boy who anchored his chaotic world. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in streaks of deep orange and purple, Co-2 broke the comfortable silence. "I think the tree is going to have a good harvest this year," he said softly, staring at the horizon before turning his gaze directly to Co-1. "But I don't think I can eat them all by myself anymore. I need someone to share them with, permanently." Co-1 looked at Co-2, seeing the transparency of the invitation written clearly across his features. The celestial warden and the orange demon had finally found their equilibrium. With a bright, genuine smile, Co-1 reached out and slid his hand into Co-2's. "Well?" Co-1 murmured, his heart racing in the best way possible. "It's a good thing your neighbor happens to be an expert."